Day one, you start your business. Day two, you get your first client. Ooh, nice. We moving in the right direction. Day three, you hire your first employee. Yes. Now tell them, get to work. Just kidding. Well, not really, because they're an employee. Get to work, please. Please, we need you, please. Day four, and well, by the way, day five, because, so 5-day work week. You built a skyscraper, you generated over $100 million in sales, and now you can rest. And you know what, by the way, on that 5th day, well, pretty much around like 10 p.m., you got 10 million followers on Instagram. It took you 5 days to do it. Done. Cool. That's how easy it is to run a business. Of course, why not? It grows like that all the time. Oh, no. Wait. It doesn't. It doesn't work like that. No? No, not at all. No, of course not. So today, we're going to get to the bottom of how it really works. How to grow a successful small business. Yes, it could take some time, and there's no specific timeline on it. Everyone's different. But there are some consistent and basic steps that need to be put into place that some of the best have put into place. And that's the reason why they see consistent growth. And we're going to get into that today. And then maybe it won't be by the 5th day. Maybe it's going to be like day 14, at least by the 10 million followers. I'm about the skyscraper. That takes a little longer than that. But, we'll see. Let's get it. Have you ever heard of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie? Have you ever heard of that book? It's a pretty popular book, kind of well known. Some people know it. It only sold millions of copies worldwide. And I bring that up because if you haven't read it, you really should. Because although it's more like 30 million copies worldwide, physical copies. Well, of course, no, I'm joking, right? There's a lot of digital copies in there too. But it has been around long enough to where it has definitely sold well over 10 million physical copies, seriously. And it has some very general, to be honest, and basic tips. But that's usually where people are lacking the most. People focus on these extraordinary, high-end, innovative way, as opposed to, innovative stuff before they really think of the basics and focus on the basics and understand the basics of just how to connect with other humans. Yes, I know it sounds weird, even though we've been around all this time. It's scary to think of how many people just don't know how to connect. And really, that's what his book is all about. And Carnegie's teachings overall, actually. And it makes sense of why he enjoyed a lot of the success he had. See, at one point, Carnegie mentions, I prepared a short talk. Speaking of an opportunity, he had a chance to speak in front of a lot of people. I called it How to Win Friends and Influence People. I say short. It was short in the beginning, but it soon expanded to a lecture that consumed 1 hour and 30 minutes. Now, today, we'll look at 1 hour and 30 minutes. We'll be like, oh, Lord, that's forever, because we're in the TikTok state of mind. And the funny thing is, that hasn't changed. For anybody who's ever listened to any of the episodes, you know what I always talk about. Nothing's really changed, right? When people say things change all the time, maybe in your world things change. But if you look at the grand scheme of things over all time, things really don't change. We might dress it up differently. We might have a different term for it. So there's the change. But the impact. So what he thought was a long lecture of 1 hour, 30 minutes back in his day, what he thought was a long lecture for 1 hour and 30 minutes back in his day would be considered a long lecture for 1 hour, 30 minutes. That's long form content nowadays, y'all. Good Lord. Put some shorts on that. Make it a story. Make it a reel. Call it a day. But here's the point. He started as a short talk. It started as a short talk, and then it evolved into this longer lecture. It evolved into courses. It evolved into training, into an entire school for leadership and management. Go figure, y'all. Because it was all about connecting with people. How does that relate to this topic, though? Growing a small business. Because this is the basics. This is where people fail the most. They fail to see, let's just start small. Let's just get it off the ground. Let's just build from there and see where it grows and what it grows into. People look at it, I should have the skyscraper in 5 days. With most businesses that have their names on a building or own buildings, if you talk to anyone, especially the people who founded the company, especially the people who established it, well, where'd you start? We started in a basement. We started in a garage. We started in a storage unit. We started in a prison cell. Yeah, that's right. I said it. It can happen. It's not about where you start. It's not about what kicks it off the ground. It's not about what gets you going. The key is to get started to where you put yourself in a position to win and not a position to fail. People want to run out and get a loan for $100 million and they don't even have a pipeline of customers. As my statement always, whenever I hear a business owner talk about a loan, how you going to pay it back? I sound like a banker. And they hate that. And then they go meet a banker. And the banker asks them the same question. And sadly, I have literally had this conversation when someone says, the banker said exactly what you told me. Really? I wasn't expecting that. So what do you need to do to go from just a concept, just an idea, to truly flourishing and growing? And what can we learn from people like Dale Carnegie? Now, don't get me wrong. There's many business owners that have come after Dale Carnegie. Many. But there's a reason why a lot of people turn back to the way he presented it. And it goes back to my point of connecting. He found a way to resonate, or at least to get his message to resonate with people and to connect with people from all different walks of life. And that's exactly what we're focusing on here. Because 25 people can have the same message. 25,000 people can have the same product and idea. But if you're going to start small, you want to find the best way to connect and build with people. That way, when you grow, they grow with you. Starting small, the best practices for growth and the actions you need to take is what we're going to cover today. Let's go. So, quick question for you. Have you ever heard the term crawl, walk, run? Okay, it's an effective approach to a lot of things, and it's been used and applied to a lot of different principles and practices. But business specifically is what, of course, we're talking about here. The crawl, walk, run strategy is a learning approach that involves taking small steps towards a larger goal. Now, the way I've always broken down is basically you make small, smart goals that lead into your overall goal. You make small, short, smart plans, right? Because plans can be put into action, activities that go into a larger long-term strategy for a longer long-term goal. And when you break it down like this, it can make anything that seems astronomical, super complex. You can break it down like a fraction and it becomes nothing. It's like making an egg. And really that's the way to look at it. Think of baking. Think of cooking. Break it down into steps with your ingredients. You break it down into steps, into segments of what you have to do to put the overall meal together. It's extremely important to make it not only measurable, but to where you can actually get it done. It's a deliverable. So typically the first step to help you do this is to write it down, is to make a plan. It's very small. Mentioned this a couple times. If you can't take an hour or maybe even a week, hell, if you've never written a business plan before, you never made a marketing strategy, you may need to do a little research. But if you can't take a couple hours a day, or at least 1 hour a day, to dedicate to strategizing and planning out your business, you may actually, and I'm not going to knock anybody, you may actually see some success. But do you think you're going to be able to sustain it? It's funny how when people see these venture capitalists or you see businesses that are getting backed by venture capitalists, they think, oh my God, every business is getting money. Every business is getting money. It's astonishing how many businesses don't even get to the pitch position working with the venture capitalists, working with investors. Because investors know right off the bat, you just are not there yet. It's not shocking how many of them will go to these platforms like crowdfunding platforms, investment platforms, and not come out with any money. It's because the vision may be great. The idea might be amazing. But then you step back and you look at the overall plan and you're like, where's the plan? Where's the strategy? Who put the time and effort into this? Something that small can be very critical, and you would hate to have to go all the way back to do it. And that's exactly why we're saying starting off small right here, just a business plan. Normally I throw, here's a takeaway, here's the opportunity at the end of the episode. We're not doing that right now. We're going to break it down like a fraction. So the best opportunity to get you to this stage or help you at this stage are SCORE mentors. Now, I've worked with a SCORE mentor. You should have a mentor at every stage of your business. Hell, a mentor in life in general, right? But when we're looking at it from business, a mentor that's been there and done that, from starting businesses, selling businesses, mergers and acquisitions, legal, accounting, doesn't matter. SCORE Mentors is a fantastic platform, and this is the best part about it. It's completely free. It's completely free as of now, at least. It's completely free. You know, I remember my old episode, Get Them Why It's Free. I'm still saying that. Get Them Why It's Free. It's completely free for you to set up some time, have a one-on-one, either in person, virtually, over the phone, with someone who's been there and done that. And the best part about it is you can find mentors, and I mean that, you can find mentors into almost every single area and discipline. Not only from what they do professionally. Okay, so maybe you're getting some legal help. Not necessarily working with a lawyer as in for actual legal counsel, but you're getting some aspects of just the legalities of some aspects of the business, right? So they can't represent you in court, but hey, they can give you some parameters to work with. But specifically in your industry, that's the cool part about it. Because we're talking about people who've worked with non-for-profits. We're talking about people who've worked with in the energy and construction and real estate and marketing and advertising and medicine and pharmaceuticals, everything. So not only from one discipline, but also down to the industry. So the discipline within that industry. Because let me tell you something, accountancy, mergers and acquisitions, and pharmaceuticals and retail, two completely different things. If you're speaking to somebody who has a background in marketing and construction, and yes, there's definitely a lot of marketing in construction. If you're in construction and you don't know about marketing and construction, I can almost guarantee you're either doing one of two things. You're surviving off of referrals or you're struggling, because there's a lot of marketing in construction, because marketing and construction has a lot of similarities, marketing in real estate and development, but they're not exactly the same. But I can tell you what they're nothing alike. They're nothing like marketing and IT. And SCORE mentors have mentors in these specific disciplines and industries. SCORE mentor saved me and my buddy literally our entire life savings. maybe his marriage. Because if he had lost his money, he would have been definitely divorced. So take advantage of it. In the comments and description of this episode, there is a link to Score Mentors. Check them out. Great program. Now, what are the best practices for growth? Because let's say you've worked with a mentor. Let's say you've gotten a business plan. Hell, you've gotten the business off the ground. The growth is where a lot of people fail because maybe they even planned for it, but there's some hiccups here and there. And every market in every industry is different. What are those best practices in general across the landscape that you can apply to your business? We'll go over those when we come back. Okay, y'all. So, Constant Contact blog contributor L. Diamond wrote a fantastic article about this. Every business started small, whether 5 years ago or 50. Now, that alone covers just about every business that you see a skyscraper, you see their names and lights, you see them on marketing materials, you see their commercials. Just because it's the first time you've seen it, let me tell you, they started small, whether it's 5 years ago, it's 50 years ago, even 100 years ago in some cases. But then she goes on to say, even the largest corporations once had a handful of employees or none at all. Bring this up because what Elle touched on in this article, link to the article is in the description of the episode, is that you can't grow unless you have team members, of course. Right? You grow with people. You grow through people, actually. But the key is to start lean and mean, focused, because this is going to give you the best opportunity to create the culture, to create the brand, and the environment people want to be a part of and to grow with you. Finished earlier by saying grow with people, grow with your customers, grow with your community, grow with your team members. But you got to be consistent. And the best way to be consistent, or the easiest way, not even the best way, the easiest way to be consistent is to have some type of strategy in place for long-term consistent growth and to keep learning along the way. So growing your business requires a strategic approach, okay, that encompasses a few things. We're going to go over what it encompasses. And this is not just for a business plan, right? We brought up the business plan earlier, but this is what you got to consistently be looking at. You can't just sit down and say, oh, we started the business and we're good. Like I said, some businesses, they do it. They get it off the ground, but they don't grow. They're not innovative. They let competition come into play and just destroy them because they just stop moving. They stop progressing. Step by step. Number one, conduct market research. You have to understand your audience. Because as I mentioned, things do change. Carnegie touched on this a lot. Of how to talk and connect with those people that you are literally, let's just call it what it is, making money from. Okay, connect with these people. But also, you're understanding who are my competitors. Because as your audience ages, as your audience changes, the competitors are going to change too. Who are they? How are they popping up? Don't be one of those companies that are so afraid of competition you got to stomp it out everywhere. I hate those companies. I'm sorry, I do. Companies that don't care for competition, that's not even like a super team in the NBA, right? Where you want your big three. That's no. Because the whole point is I got my big three so I could take on anybody. That's like the people saying, no, it can't be anyone else can't have a big three, only me. So every time a new player pops up, well, we got to get that guy instead. We got to get, no. That's because you're afraid of the competition. You're studying, you're understanding the competition. You respect the competition because you know what? That's going to push you to be innovative. If you're afraid to be innovative, and if you're afraid of competition, that means you're afraid to grow. Number two, develop a marketing and sales funnel. Now, anything can be a funnel. Okay, I'm totally stealing this from Jack Conte. I know I am. I'm totally stealing this. For anybody who saw Jack Conte at a couple of conventions and conferences years ago, he talked about how anything can be a funnel. And I love the way he put that. It was a very subtle, very simple, but very straightforward and honest way. Anything can be a funnel. Create marketing and sales funnels, not funnels. Start off with one that works, that brings in consistent leads, consistent business, consistent retention, brand awareness, stuff like that. But create multiple funnels. And it doesn't take a specific software. You don't need ClickFunnels to make a funnel. You don't need HubSpot to make a funnel. They just make it easier. But like any other tool, if you don't know how to use it, doesn't matter. Those are just tools. At the end of the day, you need to know the basics. Once again, the basics, the bare bones, the simple stuff, how to make a funnel and what's the purpose of the funnel. The reason why is because it brings people through an entire cycle. And you know those people that you need to be spending that extra time and effort on. Because when a person becomes a customer, they get the majority of my attention. This is where a lot of businesses fail. They'll spend so much time and effort and energy on trying to get new business. They don't focus on the business they already have. And they lose those people. Because when those people know that they're valuable to you, they'll stay with you. They'll stay with you during rough patches. They'll stay with you when I'm looking at it from a freelancer, entrepreneurial, contractor spec. Hey, you got to take a little extra time with a project. You have to take some time off of work, or you have to take a time off for a project, or you're running a little late for a meeting, or they'll take time with you because they know, hey, you've given me so much. I can overlook this one little whatever because you've already done so much and you're going to continuously do so much because you've consistently done it. How to nurture a lead and bring a lead into your fold. The funniest thing is, I think that's the area where most people, they don't even have a problem getting the lead. They have a problem nurturing the lead. I've noticed that seems to be where most people have that problem. They have a problem taking that person from, okay, they became a lead. Now what do? How do you convert them? How do you bring them over? Do you have them sitting there waiting forever? No, that's disrespectful. You want to show them, hey, when you become a lead, this is the basically way I'm going to treat you as a customer. I'm going to be very attentive. I'm going to connect with you. Because if they're seeing, hey, if you treat me like this as a lead and you don't even have my money yet, potentially, depending upon how you acquired the lead, right? How will you treat me when I'm an actual customer? And that makes it easy to retain customers too. Number 3, optimize customer retention. Staying connected, regularly communicating, regularly focusing on the relationship. I'm going to be honest with y'all, man. If y'all ever had a relationship, yes, I mean a romantic relationship. You know what's the easiest way to lose a person in a romantic relationship? Forget about them. Literally. Don't talk to them. Don't call them. Hey, how you doing? Just to check in on them. Just to see how they doing. Just to communicate. That's the easiest way to lose somebody, right? Because it shows what? It's almost like you don't care. It's almost like, yeah, you know what? We together, I guess, I guess we can hang out. I guess we talking. Oh, wait, we're married. That's right. You actually want me to say I love you. You actually want me to say hello. You actually want me to say thank you. You actually want me to say, hey, do you want to go out and hang out? You actually want me to act like you exist. Oh, I forgot about that part. That's how customers feel. Are you getting their feedback? Are you listening? Can you communicate with them? Did you bring them in just to pay some bills and take care of a couple, responsibilities and liabilities? And now that you got that project out of the way, now that you sold them some product, you're done with them? Because that's how it looks sometimes. Focus on staying connected, getting their feedback, and building that relationship. Number 4, embrace being corporate, but in a socially responsible way. I say embrace being corporate in a social responsible way because social responsibility from a corporate standpoint, it seems like it's getting completely lost. And it's easy. I'm going to be honest. We all know this. It's easy for a major corporation to do that. CEOs, we don't see these people. We don't hear from these people unless they want one way of communication. I love how, you'll have a CEO or president who wants to get on a social media platform and speak to everybody. But he or she is just talking at the audience. They're not listening to the audience. They're talking at the audience. They're not communicating, because communication is a two-way thing, right? And we've seen a lot of CEOs do that lately. We've seen a lot of presidents do that lately, where they talk at the audience. They'll look at the camera and they'll have this really kind of sympathetic face. They won't wear the $10,000 suit. They'll wear a $2,000 t-shirt to make them look more regular. But they're talking at the audience. They don't want to align themselves with causes because they're not aligned with causes. Their only cause is the bottom line of the corporation. Here's the crazy part about that. Being authentic is going to be more important than ever. It started and it ain't slowing down. It's funny how we're going into the age of AI more so, right? When we're focusing on an authenticity, but they kind of go hand in hand. It makes perfect sense. People are going to be focused on, I want to work with brands where I know I'm actually speaking to a person, not a machine, or having a machine speak for that person, or I'm actually being listened to. You as a small business owner and entrepreneur have a better opportunity than anybody else to do this. You have a better opportunity to do this than anyone else because you see your customers. You talk to your customers. Your customers know you. You know your customers, or you should, because if you know them, it's easier to do those first two steps. Best market research. Hey, how are things going in the community today? Talking to a customer. What's going on in the world today on your side of the fence, in your neck of the woods? You're mechanical. You bought this car. Why are you constantly bringing this car going? What's going on? Why did you pick this car? Because if you're looking at it from a mechanic standpoint, yeah, you're looking at the cars coming in, coming out. And maybe even you focus on a specific brand, but have you looked into why a specific model constantly is coming back? Have you looked into it? Why maybe you focus, and I saw a mechanic go through this at one point, never a client, but I saw them go through this at one point. He, for years, had the same 4 brands on his sign of the brands of cars that he worked on. And I mean years. We're talking like darn near 2, maybe even 3 decades. Because I used to live in the neighborhood, came back, passed by him just a few months ago. Only one of the 4 brands is there. They're all different now, but only one remains. And he says, you know what? I couldn't understand why my customers were driving from farther and farther away. I wasn't getting business in the community. He was struggling. Because I had to ask, because I'm like, dude, I've seen your place for almost 30 years. And I noticed, he's like, I was struggling. I couldn't understand why the majority of my customers that focused, that he focused on, were farther and farther away. And then he started asking questions. The community was changing. People were buying different vehicles. And one brand in particular was blowing up. So he added that one, and that brand acquired other brands, other, car manufacturers. So in turn, he's like, well, it makes sense if I service this one, I can service the others. He got certified, brought in 2 guys, hired a local kid in the community. Well, not kid. I'm old, y'all. The guy was in his 30s. But he brought in a local cat who worked on those vehicles at another shop in another country. Trained him up, got him right. Boom. Now he has a business that's thriving because he listened and he asked questions. This is what you got to do. As a business owner, you have that opportunity. As a small business owner, you have that best opportunity. Scale operations strategically. Hire the right talent. Like I said, he brought in a person who knew that business, trained him up to know that community, to work with that community as well. But he made a streamlined process that everyone's trained the same. Now, this is where AI and tools, I'm not one of those guys. First off, I'm a marketer. I got to be up on technology anyway, in general, right? Because MarTech is changing more than anything else, pretty much, at least from a services standpoint. But keeping it in being with y'all, I just understand the human aspect because I'm also a creator. So I understand the human aspect of things. But this is where AI can really help you with streamlining processes. Flowcharts, presentations, videos, training decks. It makes that process a lot easier. And you know what the best help you can get? If you get an assistant. Now, if you can't afford an assistant necessarily to be in your store, in your location, because maybe it's not big enough, just not there yet, or you have an entire virtual remote business like I do, then boom, get a virtual assistant. And they can streamline these processes for you. And they can tell you and help you with the tools. They can train you with the tools. I have a training session coming up with a business owner, and my virtual assistant is going to help us with the training. So I'm going to do the training. I'm going to kick it off. And then the follow-ups, the virtual assistant is going to come in to help them on some recaps. And we're going to finish with a fourth session with the both of us going over everything that they learned and see the deliverables to train them on some new technology, to train them on how to leverage certain social media platforms and tools that they can integrate with those social media platforms with their website. A virtual assistant, AI, they can help you. Those two tools can help you the most. Because if you don't know the tools, these virtual assistants nowadays, that's what they need to do. That's what they need to know. And they do it very well. They know the tools that are best. So whether it's working with something like Notion or something working like, Canva, making flowcharts and developing, good UX experience where they can where the students or your new employees can understand. Work with a person that is competent in these areas, but also can support you so you can focus on running your business. This is how you scale your operations. And then you work with subject matter experts on things like your finances, your legal. That's how you grow, because you can focus on the operations. And then you push yourself up into a more strategic position, strictly strategic position, by bringing in experts to do the day-to-day operation aspects. And then finally, stay adaptable. Monitor the industry. Doing that basic market research by asking your customers is one of the most basic, straightforward methods. But there's others. You got to be open to change. You got to be open to innovation. Like I said, don't be afraid of AI. You have to embrace it. You have to. You're going to either roll with the pack or get left behind. But that doesn't mean at all that you have to fire a bunch of people. That doesn't mean that people won't still be necessary. In fact, that's what I just went over. You may not have the talent, the skills just yet to work with all of the tools. So you bring in a person who can train you and train your team, a consultant, a trainer, a subject matter expert. This is why every major tech company worth their salt, or any company nowadays, because every company technically is a tech company, has a help desk. The CEO isn't trying to answer those questions because he or she can't. Or they just don't have the time to. And actually, I don't care. They shouldn't be able to. They should be focused on the strategy. You're the business owner. You should be focused on the strategy, but you should have a person that a customer can call about a technical issue with your website, with your form on your website, with your social media, answering those DMs, communicating with the people. There's a difference between being a business owner and being the business. People crack me up when they say, I'm a business owner. And then I ask them everything about their business. I'm like, no, you're not a business owner. You are the business. There's nothing wrong with that. But make sure you understand the reality. Jay-Z had a very famous line about that. And a lot of people want to quote that with pride. I'm like, I don't think you really understand what was being said there. That's not necessarily something to be proud about. That means you can't take a day off. Because if you are the business and you stop, you go to sleep, business is closed, baby. That's why I say things like a website is one of the most important elements to a business, more important than a physical storefront. Yes, a website is actually more important than a physical storefront because we're living in a digital age and we have customers all over the world. I know I do. I know you do too, or you would. Even if you have a brick and mortar business, even if you're a mechanic, you can have opportunities where you connect with customers all over the world. Or you can at least make additional revenue streams from that element of your business and from that asset of your business. So, once again, best practices for growth. Conduct regularly conduct market research. Develop a marketing and a sales funnel. At the very least, you start off with one and then you make multiples. But remember, those are two different things, a marketing and a sales funnel. Optimize customer retention. Embrace corporate social responsibility. Scale your operations strategically and stay adaptable. And then you can build your skyscraper on the 6th day. When we come back, we'll go over the book of the episode and what to read. All right, now what's good, y'all? The Lean Startup, how today's entrepreneurs use continuous innovation to create radically successful businesses, by Ries. Now, I brought up this book. I've brought up this book 3 times already. although, in my defense, twice it was the second book you should read for the book of the episode. Here's the reason why. It touches all the points that you need it to, not just in this topic, but in multiple topics. Lean and Mean. Now, you may have thought I was going to recommend, well, the book I brought up earlier by Dale Carnegie, right? How to Win Friends and Influence People. And yes, we could go to that. But looking at the influence people part, Carnegie's book, Carnegie's message, Carnegie's training influence millions. More than 30 million copies of the book sold. Influence millions of people to take that basic element, pillar, foundation, and build on it. And that's what we have here. There's a reason why so many people recommend this book. There is a reason why this book is recommended from VCs, from, yes, a lot of venture capitalists. They tell the new entries or new companies that they work with, make sure you're reading books like this. There's a reason why this book is used at so many different business schools. One of the key takeaways here, the reason why you want to start lean is because think about when you have an idea, right? When that idea is fresh on your brain and it's you got everything firing on all cylinders, but it's very little to it. Even if you're thinking of it as a complex dream or as a complex idea, you haven't gone into the legalities of all that. You haven't gone into the sales of all that. You're just like, I got this great idea and this is who we're going to help. And this is how we're going to help them. This is how we're going to make the product, blah, blah, blah. It's very fresh. It's very simple. You haven't put a lot of complexity on it. And the reason why it seems so attainable is because it is that. It's passion driven, but it's lean. It's straight to the point. It's an idea that you just want to run with. I must admit, as a marketer, as a project manager, I've even seen this myself, where I'll put those complexities. Well, we got to make a timeline. We got to make this. And when you start adding those layers to it, it feels more weighted. This is why a lot of people are afraid of a business plan, because those types of things make it real, but it also brings more weight to it and brings more pressure to it. I brought up the tool before, Canva. I've brought up the tools before, Asana. Throw in the concepts. Make a business model canvas real quick. Got the idea? Boom, 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 boom. This is the market. This is the pricing. Get it out there as fast as you can. Make it lean. Make it real for yourself. And build from there. Because this keeps you close to the why. This makes it more realistic. This makes it more attainable for you. And then you can start adding in that weight. But if you start lean as possible, and you keep that goal right in front of you, you give yourself immediately something to visualize. That's why I said the business model canvas. Give yourself something to visualize the success. And you will attain it. You just have to be consistent and diligent. Eric really breaks it down on top of the steps that I laid out in this episode. And now that this is the 4th time I recommended this book, I want to see a comment about it. Because it's worth it. It's worth a quick read. And it's a quick read too. That's one of the things I liked about it, because I've had a few books where it's heavy. And you're like, well, I want to build as I read, but I really want to make sure I'm absorbing this and understanding what I'm reading. This is a light read to where you can build as you go, read as you build, and learn as you build and go. Beautiful, beautiful aspect of it. With that, the Lean Startup. Check it out. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Goes right into the freebies I have for you. First, of course, the link to Score Mentors. That's also in the description of this episode. Make sure you check out an opportunity to work with a mentor. They have great webinars and seminars all the time. And it's all over the country. All over the country, and it's completely free. Can't beat it. Get it while it's free. I keep saying it. Then we have a small business growth planner for you. Go ahead, check on the Canva link, download that. Let me know what you think. And make sure you check out a visual depiction as well as the audio of, I got this just for y'all, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, that's at a great site called Reading Graphics. I've brought up before how I really got into reading a book a week. And that's actually what inspired the book of the episode, for those who don't know. Reading a book a week, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm traveling a lot, commuting back and forth to work. This years ago. So I started getting into Audible, and that's when I really got into making sure I got a nice library of books, because honestly, if I had all these physical books, I probably wouldn't be able to fit in my apartment. Just being honest. So I found alternatives beyond the Audible books. I was like, well, what's another way to consume the same information? But obviously we're humans, more so visual learners than anything else. Reading Graphics is a great site where it breaks down books in infographics and presentations. They have great visuals to consume the information, great content to help you understand what you're reading. And one of the first books I ever checked out there was How to Win Friends and Influence People. So check it out. You got the audio version of the breakdown, but then you also have this really cool infographic of it. Something you can help. You can even download it and just have it, just on your desktop. And I would say something like this is great to have as you're building out that canvas, as you're building out those strategies, and as you're looking over those step-by-step points for the guide. Check it out. Let me know what you think also in the comments. With that, y'all, growing a small business doesn't take a lot from the beginning. You just have to put the effort in to make sure you write out the steps, come up with a basic strategy, and one by one, start knocking them out. One by one, start knocking them out. With that, y'all, thank you so much. I've been your host, Aaron Muhammad. I am actually going to read this book again. I haven't read it in a few months, actually. I'm going to check it out now, and I want to see a comment about it. With that, I've been your host, Aaron Muhammad. This has been Growing a Small Business on the Ambition Show podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Check you later. Best to you and yours. Peace.